What happens when you're on an extreme ghost hunt that goes horribly wrong? Published to YouTube in July of 2020, Simply Sereth can answer that question. He suggests using earphones to get the full effect of what happened to him and his crew when they got trapped in by unseen forces while exploring this bungalow. In the video, they wander through the dark abandoned house. It's raining outside, which adds to the creepy ambiance inside the home with its empty windows and doors. Nearly straight away, they keep hearing noises that makes them jump and search around for the source. The home is nightmarish, with bats or birds swooping down from the ceiling every so often. At one point at 14 minutes 30 seconds, they hear footsteps above. At another point, there's a loud bang at the end of the hallway they're hovering in. While talking through the spirit box, they feel like something is at the end of the hallway again. They run for a moment, but then stall to talk again to the spirit box. They must have felt trapped like rats as they kept hearing noises on opposite ends of the hallway. But thankfully, they eventually escaped with their lives. But did something else come with them? A YouTuber in India named Ghost Live Raja has caught on livestream what he claims is real paranormal evidence while exploring an abandoned building known only as the Ghost House. He burns a candle to invoke the spirit world, and soon some pretty creepy moments are caught on live stream that he hasn't been able to explain.
Hey, no sound.
The sound is coming from the other side of the blue door, but when they open it, nothing but forest overgrowth is on the other side, or at least that's what I thought until I saw what appears to be a figure, half concealed, looking right at them at 6 minutes and 10 seconds, there for a moment and then mysteriously gone.
உங்களுக்கு தில் இருந்தா வந்து என்ன அடிக்க முடியுமா? எங்க ரெண்டு பேர்த்துல யாரோ ஒருத்தர் அடி பார்க்கல வந்து. அவ்வளவு தில் இருந்துச்சுனா.
This still image taken at that same time better illustrates what I mean. A strange figure with a black hood covering a bony, smirking face. Outside, he finds this strange triangular formation that he calls a ghost warning. I think he might be talking about witchcraft, but I'm not sure what he means, so fill me in if you know more. He also comes across this pile of raised earth and rubble with a cross planted at the top. Something tells me this is the source of the activity. Whatever or whoever is buried under this rock pile is probably responsible for haunting the house. If you are a fan of Tales from the Crypt, this scary video is right up your alley. Published by Proving Demons in October of 2021, this video welcomes you to the land of the no longer living. When they arrive on site, the first thing that greets them is a cemetery.
Oh, it's a cemetery.
There's a cemetery here.
Navigating through brambles down to a lower entrance, they arrive at a barbed wire fence. It's clear that the owners didn't want anyone getting in here. They have to wade through the barbed wire to get to the door, having traveled 5 hours to explore this site.
Oh, please, God, let it be open. We've traveled 5.5 hours.
At last, they arrive at the door and are thankfully able to open it. Wandering through the old church, they encounter several crypts. More open crypts and coffins are found at the end of the hallway, while well water floods the floor. A human skull is in one open coffin and there is human hair still on it.
Oh no.
Come here. No. Education. So, I want to point out, just shine a light on it for me. There's still hair on its head. Still got teeth. Obviously, oh, that's rotting brain in there.
As he's prodding the skull head, they think they hear something down the hallway.
What?
What's wrong?
Examining the skull more closely, you can see it still has human hair and teeth. As they're talking about how it felt like someone was walking behind them, someone shushes them from what sounds like the corner of the room.
Really? What was that? Shh. Somebody just shushed us.
It seems this team of urban explorers has disturbed the peace. All I know is I would never be going back to that place. This CCTV video captures a large figure lurking beneath a bush on an empty street. It's hard to tell what it is at first, until the camera zooms in for a better look. Some kind of humanoid is low to the ground, as if waiting to grab someone. Anyone who walks by. It looks like it could be a person, until it dips its head from the shadows at 1 minute and 58 seconds to reveal an upsettingly long face with large, gnashing jaws. The way it repeatedly moves side to side looks like it's probably just a looping animated sequence. But what's your take? Is there something in the attic? Redditor Airizer suspects so. After hearing tapping on the attic wall, they meet it with Sage. And this is what they captured. What was that sound? I tend to agree with Titus that this sounds like a metallic spring bang, but that doesn't necessarily negate a paranormal presence. Perhaps the spirit's just jumping up and down on the bed. While in search of the ghost of the headless man, YouTube team KBC Cazadores de Fantasmas encounters some unexplained activity. As they're touring the haunted area, they hear strange sounds. Shh. Later, while communicating through the spirit box, they see the gate close on its own.
Porteiro, gente, ó. Porteiro fechou, gente.
Then, down by the water, they spot something unusual on the opposite bank.
Escutei, irmão, escutei.
Here it is again. What made an appearance on the riverbank? Was it the same entity that opened the gate? I can't be sure, but I am impressed by what the team has captured here. I think it calls for further investigation. Translated from Portuguese, the video's title, The Bride of the Train Line, gives us some inclination of what fears to expect. Published to YouTube by Ravana in July of 2017, a group of adventure seekers are wandering down a train track at night. For a long while, they walk without encountering anything unusual. In the darkness, there's no one for miles around. City lights twinkle in the distance, but the group appears to be far from town. As they walk and chat carelessly along the train tracks, the camera pans to the side for a moment, where it captures this figure in white.
Nossa, mas...
Terrified screaming ensues as the men turn to run back the way they came. The bride figure too appears to race away from the tracks, presumably back to her haunted wedding. Does this deter you from jumping trains at night? If not, then you might be next in line to catch the ghostly bridal bouquet. This scary video clip captured not just one misty spirit miraculously floating atop the water, but a second emerging from below. Posted to TikTok by Horror Talk, the apparition gracefully glides on the water's surface, only for his brother's head to appear, materializing from the same point in the water. It grows upwards, but we're left to wonder where the pair of spirits wandered off to, and from where they came. Some in the comments think this is a weather balloon, others say it's La Llorona, the weeping woman who roams the waterfront. What do you think it could be?
All right, guys. I'm gonna show you one of the reasons we hate this house.
There's a YouTuber named Not Your Average Wife who apparently does not live in your average home either. Her dog Catherine absolutely refuses to go down the steps leading to their basement. Follow the dog's eyes because I think it might be seeing something down there that none of us can.
Catherine, come on, baby. Come on, pretty. Come on, baby.
Not even a nudge from behind can convince Catherine to go down the stairs.
Come on, Catherine.
And just to prove it's not a general fear of steps, they show her using different stairs without a problem. Maybe the dog almost fell down basement steps or something and is now afraid of them. At least, that's the only non-paranormal explanation I can think of. And if it is paranormal, based on how Catherine is acting, it must be something sinister in that basement. The Borgwanet house, built in 1876 in Sweden, is said to be one of the most haunted places in the world. Scratching, knocking, and screaming comes from the walls, not to mention shadow figures and objects moved by a ghost. The first reports of paranormal activity were in 1927, and they've continued ever since. Dima Maslenikov wants to document any and all paranormal activity on camera. It does not take long. The house is still when he hears a weird noise. It sounds like an EVP of a distant scream. He gets up and looks in the room. Two knocks, both coming from this door. He sets up a toy for a ghost to play with that also has a motion sensor.
Честно говоря, вот про эту комнату я толком ничего не знаю. И про нее, по-моему...
Not only does the motion detector fall off, it continues to stay on for a full 3 seconds. When he turns around, something was in the room with him, a paranormal entity. There wasn't anyone in the room. The bear falls over on its own. Next, he finds an infamous old rocking chair that's said to be the center of a lot of paranormal activity. He takes a flash Polaroid and notices a large dark shadow hanging over it, a shadow that does not look like it was cast by the chair because it's in front. He tries to recreate the lighting conditions and is unable to make the same round shadow appear. No matter how many pictures he takes, it never comes close to being like this one. This does seem to indicate that it's a shadow figure caught on camera in the first photo. The investigator summons his courage and goes exploring the second floor of the Borgwanet house. As he's watching the ceiling light moving by itself, a ghost pushes him. Watch for the camera blur as it walks by. That's when he notices a heavy piece of furniture has been pushed in front of a door. Someone was trying to keep something from getting out of its room. He moves the barricade and looks inside. It's an attic space with a small table for someone small to eat at by themselves. The space is empty. Whatever they were trying to keep inside has already left, so the legend spoke of shadow people screaming and knocking from the walls and objects moving by themselves. It's hard to believe it, but he really does seem to have encountered all of the creepy stuff in one visit, and it all somehow seems real. While exploring the Fairy Plantation in Virginia, disturbing paranormal evidence was captured by Redditor WTCW Paranormal, who runs a YouTube channel of the same name. First, the team captured some audio evidence using a paranormal device.
Where are you from?
It sounds like there's evil present. Then, as they continue exploring, audible footsteps are heard. Later, when they're using dowsing rods to communicate with the spirits, something off-screen communicates louder. To me, the noises add credence to the first message the guys received. They are in the fiery depths below, and they may just be trapped there. Ghost Hunter Emax has some of the creepiest videos in the small but growing Japanese ghost hunter community. Videos with scary moments like this one that will haunt you for a long time. He's exploring an abandoned hospital when he senses something paranormal is near, a ghost in the same hallway.
なんかいる感じするもんね。こんなね、したりしたんだけど。さあ行ってみたい。あ！これが今こっちに動いたんだよな。
It's just there 1 second at 10 minutes 16 seconds, and within 2 seconds it's being pushed back 3 feet into the closet. Did he really see a wheelchair move by itself while exploring a haunted hospital? Or did someone pull it from off camera? The video looks convincing, but I guess we'll never know. Peel your eyes back for this one. Published by Kisa Weba in January of 2022, this scary video has been trending in the Spanish-speaking YouTube community. The video was shared with Kisa Weba by a subscriber who said he'd found the footage on Reddit. The original poster claimed to have crossed paths with this mud monster on the way home one day. The footage shows a creepy female mud-like creature sitting in the middle of a dirt road. The mysterious creature has long arms with a peculiar appendage where the hand should be. The hand features long Gumby-like fingers that appear to contract as the cameraman walks toward her. The figure's back is also strangely indented. It looks as if parts of the figure are blurred out for discretion, but as the cameraman walks toward her, the other hand reaches over, revealing the same elongated fingers as the first. There also appears to be a trail several feet down the road, dragged by the figure, but it ends as if the creature dropped to the earth there from the middle of nowhere. What is this mud monster? And what exactly is she doing here? I guess we'll never know for sure. Samuel Porter lives near an abandoned house that he wants to explore, so he and his friends take a short walk and soon find themselves standing outside of its gnarled wooden door. Someone has gone to great lengths to keep trespassers away. The door is locked and the window they get in through is covered in barbed wire. The inside of the old cottage is filthy and collapsing. Large sections of the floor have been eaten away, but they curiously press on. Samuel Porter pokes his head through a hole in the ceiling to see what's on the second floor, a decision he will remember forever. The first thing he notices are 2 sticks that have been formed into a hanging cross for some reason.
Perfect thumbnail right here, lads. It's all cheesy.
Then to the left he sees the knotted rope. I did notice one thing about this creepy scenario. If this is an actual noose meant for hanging purposes, then it looks to be set the wrong height for someone to use on themselves. I'm curious to find out what you think happened in this room. To me, it unfortunately looks pretty obvious. Years ago, everyone was talking about a possible witch sighting on the side of the road in India that went viral. Now a second scary video is making rounds, this one possibly taken from around the same area. An older traveler with a cane appears to be walking down the middle of the road at night in bright white robes. As the driver gets closer, he is surprised to find the strange man is taking steps, but not moving forward, almost like a ghost. Tell me what they are saying here, because they sound excited and I would really like to know what their real reaction to a ghost sighting was. Then the strange figure begins to walk backwards in slow, jerky movements, without so much as even looking behind him once. This is probably one of their friends, but if they actually caught a real ghost on camera, like they think they have, then I guess the paranormal apparition would have no reason to fear cars. And after all, the worst has already happened, and now this feeble ghost is forever forced to explore the haunted road where potentially its life came to pass. According to this paranormal investigator, a genie cursed him in his own voice. Let's enter this haunted home. While speaking to the spirits of the place, he hears an EVP.
Buradaki varlık kendini belli etsin. Bir işaret versin. Buradaki yaşayan insanları kaçıran varlık kendini belli etsin.
When he walks into the kitchen, something disturbing happens. And then the spirit gets aggressive, but nothing is inside the room.
Bana bir iş yapmışsın.
When he enters the bedroom, he sees it. But as he gets closer and closer, is this a magic trick? Well, it could be the genie himself performing a practical joke. I could also see how this could be faked, but then again, the knocking. Only a genie could disappear like this. Night Owl 2007 published this video of a creepy sewer creature in February of 2018. In the video, some guys are walking along the road at night when they stop at a big heavy manhole cover and proceed to enter into the sewer. They remember how scary the sewer is, long dark tunnels, loud echoes. In order to see how deep one of the tunnels goes, the crew cracks a neon stick light and, turning off all other light sources, throws it into the tunnel. The tunnel must be deep, but the depths do terminate, as you can still see a tiny pinprick of light in the distance. As they're playing around with the neon sticks, the camera catches a skull-like face peeking over one of the crew's shoulders.
I don't think you're throwing out enough light here.
Anything?
What the
It looks like a ghoulish mask leering behind him, but when the guy moves out of the way and the cameraman casts his camera beyond, there's nothing there. Needless to say, the entire crew springs into action, racing out of that sewer like no one's business. There is a roaring sound at the end, echoing as they jet out of the tunnel. We can assume they made it out alive, otherwise we wouldn't have this video to show for it. As the name of his YouTube channel would suggest, Abroad in Japan provides helpful advice meant for anyone planning an extended stay in the country of Japan. Chris has lived there for over 7 years, and most of his videos deal with common topics, such as cultural differences and spending tips. 2 videos in particular, however, chronicle his experiences with Japan's supernatural. October 16th, 2018 is when Chris bikes with his friend Joey in search of an eerily abandoned tunnel that's rumored to be haunted. They don't know much about its history, but one look at how narrow it is, and it's hard to imagine a car squeezing through. The tunnel was apparently abandoned after too many lives were ended by unsafe driving. Now it lies on the side of the mountain, becoming more overgrown with each day. The first thing they notice is this strange human-like imprint on the wall, perhaps the spirit of someone who lost their life here. It's looking up towards the sky, and pale skin. Even the flowing sleeves of her dress are visible. It creeps them out and makes them want to get this over with so they can leave. As they are contemplating what all of this means, their camera records even more evidence that something is nearby. It's a soft voice whispering something in Japanese. Tell me if you can understand. I think it's real because the voice echoes off the tunnel walls. The exit is only a short distance away, so there's no big dramatic dash to safety or anything like that. They are suitably freaked out by now, and when they go to leave, this mysterious third person, shadow figure to be precise, is waiting for them at the end. Oh, and there's one other odd discovery in the haunted tunnel that I forgot to mention. Don't even want to know what this mysterious device was used for. It looks like it goes around a wrist or on an ankle and doesn't come off. So as strange as this paranormal encounter was, it was only scary enough to teach Chris his lesson for a year or two. February 16th, 2020 is when Chris stayed in Japan's most haunted hotel, a place known only as the Ryaku Fuso Inn. This is where the spirit of a young boy has been roaming the wealthiest people in Japan for over 600 years. That's a long time to be a troublesome little ghost. And by now he's gotten pretty good at his job, so what Chris sees that night should come as no surprise. This is where the spirit of a young boy has been haunting the wealthiest people in Japan for over 600 years. That's a long time to be a troublesome little ghost, and by now he's gotten pretty good at his job. So what Chris sees that night should come as no surprise. He and his friend wait until after hours to visit the memorial, where the boy is said to frequent, a shrine built in his name to keep him from becoming evil and cursed. I think I see the outline of a boy looking at them in the blue window above as one of them kneels down at the altar. And they must have done something wrong because this happens.
It's a bit creepy, isn't it?
Not only does a child scream, but a face appears over his shoulder shortly afterwards. They go back to their hotel room afterwards and don't think much of it, but the next day, Chris's friend reports an encounter that really troubles him. It seems as if they could have been followed after all.
Like, I couldn't move my body, and I heard someone, like, kind of standing on my chest, and then and he or she, whoever, touched my cheek.
I'm not sure if this last part is a paranormal encounter or sleep paralysis, a condition in which people are unable to move and often think they see a shadow figure moving towards them.
Okay, we're out here fishing off lawn. Oh my God, it's gonna hit the boat. There it is, right down there, mate.
That's the reaction of two fishermen as an unidentified shark heads towards their boat for a closer look. It passes by them 3 times before getting way too close for comfort. This is when the two friends finally decide to make a retreat.
Oh my God. Oh, alright. Alright, let's go. Is there anyone? Oh my God.
This is, in all likelihood, just a great white shark, but other people are saying it's too big to be a great white, and that the markings are slightly different. In their opinion, this could just be a fledgling megalodon shark that was recently born. Let me know if you agree with them, or if you think this was a great white. This video was taken somewhere in South America, and it shows a man sitting on a table at a security monitoring station. Little does he know that he too is apparently being monitored, and not by a camera. After a while, this is what happens to him. Even the people reviewing the footage can't believe what they are seeing. Not only does a nearby chair move on its own, but it also moves in his general direction. It's almost as if the ghost is pulling up a seat directly across from him. Unbelievably, the man doesn't seem to notice this paranormal activity unfolding before him. at least at first. He is looking at his cell phone when suddenly it happens again. This time he sees it, and his reaction seems very legitimate as he becomes startled and tense. He looks behind him to make sure that the security camera is recording all of this for later evidence. Then he hops off the table and stares at the chair before him. Obviously scared now, he waits for it to move again, but it doesn't, so he goes over to inspect it more closely. This is probably the most convincing part of the video, because he would have seen a fishing line if it was a fake prank. Instead, he picks the chair up, puts it back in its place, and then puts a stand in front of it and gets out of there fast. I'm not saying that this video is absolutely 100% real, but it is certainly a possibility. This security footage shows a strange moving blur that distorts large sections of the floor as it passes by. A short while later, someone appears to be shoved from behind while walking by. It's odd how they lose their balance while walking across the exact same part of the floor. That was blurry only moments earlier. Also notice how, for whatever reason, they immediately look down at the floor. Could they possibly be seeing something with their own eyes that the camera doesn't detect? This strange deer keeps repeatedly wandering into the yard of a YouTuber named Free Tickies. It seems to be without a herd, so at first Free Tickies suspects that it could be someone's pet, which is not all that uncommon of an occurrence where he lives in Kentucky. After a minute or so, it becomes evident that this deer is sick with something quite serious. Watch here and you'll see how the deer looks disoriented enough to walk up to another neighbor's house. I have little doubt that it would have wandered straight through the front door if it was open, potentially contaminating the entire inside. The YouTuber says that he called the local wildlife authorities and reported the deer shortly after recording this 2-minute video. I think he keeps a respectful distance for the most part and appears to be safe from any potential contamination. As for the deer, it sadly had to be put down by government officials after it kept walking onto the nearby Route 8 highway. Mr. Biggs is a giant iguana who is not behaving normally. He hardly recognizes his owner upon entering his room. And yes, Mr. Biggs does happen to have his own room.
See, there he is. He tried to bite me.
The large lizard fits a single finger squarely in his mouth and clamps down, but a closer look reveals it's actually just an empty glove at the end of a ruler. As it turns out, Mr. Biggs was just hungry and not trying to take over. He might have even mistaken the glove for a big hunk of lettuce. Look at him here at 3 minutes and 7 seconds. You would never have expected this could be the same Mr. Biggs as before.
Yeah, he doesn't even care. Can wrangle him up.
When you enter an abandoned building, you don't expect to find a fully functioning service room inside, but that's what YouTuber Shy found in February of 2018. The footage begins at the top of a tower in an industrial-looking area. He then enters a building. The place is obviously abandoned, with no soul in sight, an empty auditorium, a lonely ping pong table, and then descending to the cold, dark basement, which is where he finds the service room in question. Picking up the phone, although he doesn't hear a dial tone, he does receive the tone indicating the phone has been disconnected. Also inside are loads of hardware and servers, blinking lights flashing and all. Next, he happens upon an old computer, which he plugs in. Pushing the button on the tower, the modem turns on. Windows 95 appears, then a black screen with code. A username password screen appears. After attempting to enter something, Shy is told by his live streamers to hit cancel, which he does. He is then allowed to enter. After exploring the computer's contents for a bit, Shy decides to unplug the computer and gets out of there, muttering about a potential secret government project. Was Shy on the right track? Did he just tap into something top secret? I guess we will never know what were on those computers, unless Shy decides to go back and investigate further. This is it, the scariest forest to explore in terms of ghost hunting. The location of this scary forest is far more well known than its actual name. That's because you have to go to the Romanian countryside of Transylvania to get here, the same place where the legend of Dracula began. Okay, so this place is called the Hoia Baciu Forest, and there's a good reason why not too many outsiders know about it. Locals believe that even mentioning its name is enough to curse you with a lifetime of misfortune, which is making me wish someone else narrated this video. Ask around for long enough and you might find somebody willing to tell you about a shepherd who, hundreds of years ago, went into this forest with 200 sheep to let them eat grass and never returned. Peasant villagers soon lost their lives to his vengeful spirit, and the area's haunted reputation quickly spread. As more lives were lost, the number of ghost sightings continued to grow. I'm not going to get into all of the individual haunted forest stories because there are simply too many to recall, but here are 3 scary videos taken in the woods that are worth mentioning because they help back them up. The first video was taken by a YouTuber named Bregis on July of 2014, and it shows in the center of the woods a circular clearing where absolutely no trees will grow. In fact, trees have not grown here for hundreds of years in a perfectly symmetrical circle, and nobody knows why. Maybe this is where the shepherd and his flock all perished. Whatever happened here, there's something unholy about this area that always makes visitors nervous. And to further prove my point, in the center of this circle are 2 evenly spaced patches of dug up earth that look like they could be unmarked graves. What do you think is buried here? Videos of these woods are scary enough during the day, but exploring the cursed woods at night is even scarier. On July 29th, 2017, a YouTuber named Tanner Roth thinks he's brave enough to withstand a 3 a.m. haunted forest challenge in Transylvania. The trees start to look twisted and creepy, so they know they are close to the forest's haunted heart.
See, it's how knotted it is. These knots don't happen anywhere else outside this forest. I guess it's another way that they were saying that the forest is. Dude, it just got super cold over here.
The camera goes out of focus as if a spirit is face to face with Tanner, and a passing chill makes his nose run. In his words,
It kind of feels like we shouldn't be here.
I couldn't have said it better myself, especially based on what he sees shortly thereafter. Tanner Roth senses something near, and so he calls out for Anthony, his camping buddy. He feels especially watched here, and look at what happens at 4 minutes and 28 seconds. No sooner does he say somebody is messing with me when an odd red light shows up. Tanner finds Anthony passed out at the campsite, cozy as can be. Anthony didn't pass the 3 a.m. haunted forest challenge, so it wasn't him. Strange glowing lights are said to be a common occurrence in this forest, and one of the reasons why locals don't dare to go near. On April 14th, 2018, a paranormal investigation team from Italy called Aspit journeys to the center of the forest in search of a scare. This is what they find close to the haunted circle.
Sì, aspetta. Sì. Cazzo fischio, che ho urlato. Sì, nell'orecchio, non molla. Spero si sente. Baby, tieni solo la palletta. Oddio, un urlo! Di nuovo!
It kind of sounds like a frog to me, but maybe not based on what happens next.
K2! Oh cazzo! Ci gira intorno!
As they strain their ears, they hear it again right as the K2 meter goes off, which makes it paranormal in my opinion. Sheep can make really shrill noises, so maybe it's the shepherd's wicked spirit. The pit crew runs some more experiments, such as asking the spirit to make their flashlight blink, which it does easily, and we no longer hear any animal noises at all during this time. The forest is eerily quiet. 5 minutes later, it decides to skip all of their testing and directly reveal itself.
Cosa? Cazzo! Aspetta che tolgo gli infrarossi.
Jack, togli gli infrarossi, se no non si vede.
Lo vedi? Lo prendi?
Much to their horror and to my fascination, the light they see is remarkably similar to the light that Tanner Roth saw a year prior, except for a noticeable difference in color. They both saw a sphere of light roughly the same size in the same area, and probably therefore the same entity. The fact that 2 different teams from 2 different countries nonetheless would record the same thing is all the proof that I need to conclude that this forest is probably beyond haunted. Since the legends are apparently true, I can only imagine what the repercussions are on them for witnessing it in person, not to mention what will happen to us for seeing it on video. Walking down an empty hallway can sometimes send shivers all over your body, especially when the hallway looks like this. Spurgburglar from Washington in the US uploaded this spooky video in 2016. He says that his flat is upstairs and he makes his way through this hallway in the middle of the night 6 days a week. The hallway in and of itself is spooky. The sound on top of it is nothing short of ominous. The noise certainly is thumping and rhythmic like music, but it's unclear what it is or where it's coming from. It gets louder as the uploader approaches the end of the hallway and the beginning of a new one. A new sound enters into the mix, like a heart pounding. While the thumping declines, the heart pounding remains. Then you hear some sort of haunting music enter in faintly, before it escalates the closer he gets to the elevator. The video of the hallway also distorts a bit. Your heart races as you anticipate a jump scare from something unknown, but when he pushes the elevator button, the audio disappears. What could this possibly be? I don't know if I want to know. Warning, once you watch this entry, you'll be itching all over. This video was shared on YouTube by Town & Country Pest Solutions Incorporated in January of 2011. It shows a bedbug infestation in Syracuse, New York. The video challenges viewers to watch the entire thing, but honestly it's so disgusting that you can't look away from it. The crew said they didn't even have to inspect for these bed bugs, as it's one of the biggest infestations they've ever seen. They show the bugs on the curtains, on the bedspread, and then the place they love the most, the mattress. Apparently, whoever was residing here never once called to report a bedbug problem. One of the crew says that evidence suggests this infestation has been going on for months. There are tons of stains on the mattress as well, from where the parasites gnawed the residents. They lift the sheet to find bed bugs crawling all over the bottom side. The infestation reaches every corner of the room, including where the ceilings meets the wall. Bed bugs are nestled up in the crevice. They pull a picture frame off the wall to find more bugs crawling on the backside. They appear in singles and in clusters. When they lift the mattress off the bed, you can see bugs scattering all over the bed spring platform. There are so many on the edge of the mattress that the colony has eaten away at the fabric, and apparently they also stink according to the crew. One of them says their dogs are usually trained to smell the bed bugs to search out the infestation, but this one is so bad that even humans can smell it. It's so creepy you can't look away. You can particularly feel them on you now, can't you? I did warn you. When a New York man's dog kept barking all night for no apparent reason, the dog's owner set out to investigate. He set up a CCTV camera to see if there was a reason behind his dog's behavior, and what he discovered explained everything. Posted to Reddit by UJ Hood, his friend's CCTV captured a figure shortly after 11 p.m. on January 29, 2017. The figure appears to be carrying a flashlight, hurrying across the snow. What is so unusual about this capture is that, although the figure is walking upright on 2 feet, it isn't clear whether it's human or not. To further the mystery, the obscure being disappears halfway across the yard, although the flashlight continues to bop up and down against what may be a fence. The footage has some wondering whether the mysterious disappearance of the figure was simply a camera trick of blur and fade, a shadowy illusion, or something more sinister. Those leaning towards the latter note the figure's glowing eyes, strange spindly form, and weird movements. One user said that there's something strange going on, like why the background never gets obstructed after the figure passes by. Others suggest to follow the tracks, if there are any. What do you think this is? Whatever it is, it makes no sense. This slow motion video captures a man peeling around a corner as fast as he can, and soon you see exactly what has him moving so fast. A gigantic cheetah literally bounces off the wall in pursuit. The video ends before we exactly get to see what happens next. Maybe this cheetah really did come in straight from the jungle, or maybe it was kept as a household pet until one day it simply snapped. Whatever the case may be, I doubt it ended well for the person running away. Then again, I have no idea why he would just happen to have a camera set up to catch this event perfectly, so maybe it was scripted after all. Let me know what you think is going on here, and also tell me if you have any more background information that can help us put this video in better context. An Urbex YouTuber called RNK All Day is exploring a creepy building that used to be a funeral home before it was abandoned. The funeral home is not haunted per se, at least not from what I can tell, but what they find is every bit as scary as any ghost video you'll ever watch. You see, a long time ago, this North Carolina establishment was shut down because of improper business operations. People were not notified about their loved ones in a timely fashion, and the remains were often not stored properly at all. As RNK All Day explores the abandoned building, he finds evidence of their misdeeds laying out in the open. Sitting in a battered cupboard box on an old altar is a discarded plastic bag full of what appears to be ashes. There's no way to tell if these are the ashes of someone until you look at the box. That definitely says cremation services. If this is what we think it is, which I think it almost definitely is, then they should be properly placed in an urn, not out in the open like this. And if there are more items like this lying around, then maybe this building is haunted after all. Omar Vassell and his friend are having a very strange problem in the toy section of Target. I will let them explain everything in a moment, but let's just say one of the toys seems to be a little too active.
What is that? This toy does not go off, and this toy does not go off, but the center toy goes off. Off. My hand's over here. Bow. Toy goes off. Just watch. What is that? Like, please tell me what that is. America, please.
Maybe the batteries are depleted in all of the toys except for the one in the middle, but that still doesn't explain why it would go off when the other toys are touched. I feel like this video could have an obvious explanation that I'm not thinking of, so if you recognize these toys, or if you know anything about the toy manufacturing or design in general, then please let me know how this could possibly happen. A haunted coffee shop? Never heard of such a thing, but that's what YouTube team The Haunted Side are investigating in Virginia City, Nevada. Their investigation opens with a subtle sound.
Heard that. Was in here.
The spirits then respond to the team's requests via their paranormal devices.
Can you touch that little box right there on the bar? Ooh. Ooh. Just like that. Look. Look.
Right.
What the is that?
The unexplained noises continue.
No. Ooh. Something made a noise right before I did that.
And in the kitchen, they hear a whisper or a breath.
Sounded like a voice.
The voice is heard again, louder this time, but it's unclear what it's saying.
Is that you?
As they're looking on a thermal camera, more unexplained noises resound.
And now it's like over by the door and gone. Whoa. What? And a voice, that's the first voice I've heard come through there.
Next, Patrick feels something touch his neck.
Dad, gotta put the camera down for a second. Ooh. Something like, not a scratch per se, but like.
And just as he's about to speak, the spirits clink their glasses.
Where are you right? Ooh. What was that?
The noises don't end there.
What is that?
Then a bunch of his tech acts up on its own.
I'm holding it down, the SLS closed, the full spectrum camera shut off. That was rolling. Is the IR light on? It opened back up on its own.
What is happening here? As he's trying to figure it out, another clinking sound is heard.
That is... What the...
The spirit is even taking requests now.
Can you make a noise like that again, please? Whoa! Whoa! Whoa!
And then denying them.
What the is that?
In my opinion, despite the ambient noise throughout the clip, there are too many mysterious sounds in this place to deny that it's haunted. But all I'm wondering is, if this spirit serves up a decent cup of boo brew. Powerful Pancake is the name of a YouTuber who decides to ring his neighbor's doorbell and then run away. He hides around the side of the house just in time, but his friend behind the trash can is not so lucky. Powerful Pancake doubles back to grab his camera and the chase is on. As you can see here, the neighbor comes charging down the driveway with the bat over his head, ready for who knows what. They barely make it to their car in time and speed off. I think this video is probably real because they seem to actually be full of adrenaline, and that is not easy to fake, but I'd like to get your opinion. Number 10. Two YouTubers see a suspicious red balloon tied around the grate of an old sewer tunnel and start to explore. It isn't long before their flashlight shines upon someone standing rigidly before them.
No freaking... No! Go!
The sewer lurker chases them down the entire length of the tunnel at full speed, and they barely make it out alive. Listen to this part and tell me if you think the fear in their voices sounds real, because it does to me.
Oh, Franco! Get out!
I hit my head!
Who or what that was remains a mystery. There's been no update made since this video was uploaded. A lot of scary ghost sightings involve a doorway or a window. They always seem to be haunting a passageway leading into the house. At 31 seconds, a pale apparition leans in to peek through the doorway of this building. Then the mysterious figure is gone, disappeared. I couldn't find anything to explain what was moving in the door. The ghost hunter later explains, after doing some more research, he says this haunted place is home to voices of children laughing and playing, stories that further creep him out. This building was a funeral home before the haunted place was abandoned. The cameraman is too scared to get near the haunted place, let alone go exploring, but a possible long-distance ghost sighting leaves him freaked out. I agree, there is something in the doorway. Whether it's a ghost or not is hard to say from here, but something is there and that's pretty weird. Caden Parker meets up with some friends at a local skate park and finds someone much older trying to pick arguments with everyone he sees.
Big man! Who's Big Man? You, right? I'm going for a sleeper.
Dude, come on. Can you just leave us alone? We're just trying to have a good time, enjoying the nice weather.
Who cares? I'm going for a sleeper.
Soon he turns his attention towards Caden and tells him he's going to put him in a submission hold if he comes down from the ramp. By now the skate park has mostly cleared out, so it's just a face-off between Caden and this angry stranger.
Dude, the police are on the way. I hope you know that.
I hope so.
We have a
I didn't insult
individual at the
skate park,
and he's trying to pick fights with little kids.
All right then. Might as well make it worth it.
Yo, tell him to send an officer ASAP.
An officer shows up right before things get any more out of hand. I really don't think this is a fake video, because the officer walks up and puts him in cuffs straight away. Apparently, he has a long history of doing this and nobody seems to be acting. After he's taken away, the park fills back up with people who are scared away. Caden Parker shows a lot of bravery standing up for them, as well as self-restraint by not stepping forward when challenged. Had this escalated, he could be in as much trouble as the person who is actually in the wrong. He did everything right in my opinion, and is allowed to enjoy the rest of his day peacefully as a result. A lot of scary ghost sightings involve a doorway or a window. They always seem to be haunting a passageway leading into the house. At 31 seconds, a pale apparition leans in to peek through the doorway of this building. Then the mysterious figure is gone, disappeared. I couldn't find anything to explain what was moving in the door. The ghost hunter later explains, after doing some more research, he says this haunted place is home to voices of children laughing and playing, stories that further creep him out. This building was a funeral home before the haunted place was abandoned. The cameraman is too scared to get near the haunted place, let alone go exploring, but a possible long-distance ghost sighting leaves him freaked out. I agree, there is something in the doorway. Whether it's a ghost or not is hard to say from here, but something is there and that's pretty weird. Fair warning, this video is said to be cursed, so I am in no way responsible for what happens to you as a result of watching it. They are recording nothing in particular when a horrifying monstrosity rushes out of the pitch black backyard and straight towards the camera. I hope this video isn't real, but if it is, then it doesn't look like the person had much of a chance. Hopefully you won't befall the same fate for watching. A YouTuber named Piso Mojado records this zombie deer as it mindlessly spins around in circles at a public parking lot in the middle of the day. After a while it briefly stops and has what could be considered a brief moment of clarity.
You alright there, little guy?
But then it falls over, gets up and resumes its frantic pacing. It runs in a half circle and heads towards the camera, but then it falls again and starts flailing wildly on the ground instead. The zombie deer seems dazed when it gets up a third time, like something has permanently changed in its mind. It calmly stumbles forward with a blank look in its eyes and drool falling from its mouth.
Yeah, he's foaming at the mouth.
Watching this video, it's hard to tell if this deer has CWD or rabies like the uploader claims. The two share many common symptoms such as drooling, disorientation, and aggression, so we may never know for sure. Either way, this man is lucky this deer decided to run away at the last moment instead of continuing its slow and steady charge in his direction. The origins of this video are mysterious, and the footage even more so. Published to YouTuber Chibonk182, the short clip is entitled Kuyang Dayak. The video shows what appears to be a beast human behind a cage. The creature seems to have an animalistic body, although no animal on Earth has ever looked like this. While its ghost white face is that of a human male's, with long shaggy brown hair. The face looks perturbed by chit-chatting of the onlookers, to say the least, but it just continues to lie there on the blue flowered sheet, its limbs moving slightly. Also known as the Krasu in Cambodian mythology, and Krasu in Laos, the Kuyang spirit is ubiquitous across the folklore of Southeast Asia. The figure appears with the head of a woman, with its internal organs trailing below her. Is that what it is meant to be? If not, then what in the world is it? A thing of myth and legend or not? This clip does one thing right, it makes you shudder in horror. An urban explorer decides to check out a house that has a reputation for being beyond scary. If only he knew. Upstairs he finds an open closet that he decides to explore, like he has done with everything else in the house so far, a decision he soon regrets. Large fingers wrap around the corner and send him running down the stairs as something screams behind him. I really wanted this not to be real, so I kept reading through the comments, but the uploader never says it's fake. A lot of people think it's real, but the low resolution makes me think it's edited, or at least I really hope so. Redditor Purgatory Adventures submitted this to the Chills Narrator subreddit, and they said it's one of the scariest events in Purgatory Adventures history. The Redditor described the events as the following. We captured footsteps coming down the stairs at us. The ghost hunting team appears to be in an abandoned building of some sort. One team member sits in the middle of a mostly empty room, but keep your eye on the door in the top right. And just like that, clear as day, they hear footsteps coming from the other side of that door. like someone is walking down some stairs.
What the f? That was like in the staircase, man.
Something tells me they're not alone in this place, but the question now is whether it's a ghost or a stranger. Which one do you think it is? Either way, I'd be staying far away from this place.
What the f? That was like in the staircase, man.
There's something lurking around this haunted place, shared by TikToker The King Horror. The kid who saw it with his own eyes cried in fear. After racing far away from the place, they turn back, and then they see this. This hooded figure is something nightmares are made of, and he's the perfect villain for bedtime. This young fawn has contracted an illness that is most likely CWD. It alters between standing paralyzed in place and spinning in circles, its neck rotating wildly all the while. At times it looks like its neck is going to snap, like here for instance. Maybe it is even trying to put itself out of its own misery. One thing that's strange is that this deer seems to prefer standing in areas with sunlight. Whether or not this sunlight-seeking behavior is based on instinct or actually provides some sense of relief is hard to tell for sure. An angry poltergeist haunting this room is throwing things off the shelf.
Hey! Allah Akbar, Allah. Ini rumah aku, kalau kau nak buat macam ni, kau ingat aku takut? Kau ingat aku takut? Allah Akbar, Allah.
But unfortunately for Arash Afnan, the paranormal activity does not end there.
Allah Akbar. Allah Akbar. Allah Akbar. Allah Akbar.
Looking straight at him is a mysterious figure standing in the kitchen, a shadow figure that is clearly in the shape of a person. But when he chases it into the kitchen, it's gone and the drawer where it was just standing opens all by itself. Now that's just terrifying. Well, light can certainly play tricks on us, and on a camera, things can get creepy. Posted to the Ghosts subreddit, Garno7 explains that he and some friends were hanging around their campfire near a lake, and one of them captured this on his phone. The clip shows a figure appearing to run from their group of people into the roaring flames. Watch as the camera pans from left to right. Can you see it? While many in the comments say the figure is nothing but a lens flare. A couple Redditors counter that argument. Redditor Patrick RS Ghost writes, "At first I thought it was some flare or something due to the transition from dark to light very quickly, but when I looked closer I could see something start to move within the crowd at around the 2-second mark, almost to the left of the little girl in the pink sweater, right as the camera starts to pan, and upon looking again, I can totally see what this Redditor is talking about. So now I think there's a good chance this could be paranormal, because when you take the time, it seems to sync up." Shortly after moving into their new apartment, this couple began to feel watched, so they installed a camera in the bedroom. A few nights later, they record a full-grown adult standing outside of their window. At first, he is so focused on staring into their bedroom that he doesn't even seem to notice or care about how obvious he stands out against the well-lit parking lot. When the couple inside walks closer to the window and gets on the bed, he tries to be a little more cautious but fails miserably. It's pretty obvious that he is still there and eagerly looking straight at them. He is about as close to the window as he can be, and he is probably really getting into the idea of watching them without being seen himself, not knowing that he himself is on camera. They can see him the entire time, and this is the exact moment that the boyfriend goes out and confronts the man, who quickly stands up and shows no aggression as he walks away. It turns out to actually be their neighbor next door. He came over and apologized the next day, but something tells me that this is a compulsion that he cannot help, and soon enough he will be back at it again. If not with them, then with someone else. A YouTuber named Kamadina is recording his sister and parents in a parking lot while on vacation when he gets the strange and eerie sensation that he is being watched. He turns around and walks for a bit in the direction that he feels he is being watched from, and then he zooms in. Sure enough, this pale figure stands facing him from afar. He turns around to go back into his hotel, but the feeling of eyes upon him returns. He turns around to take in the figure one last time, who is still standing in the same spot far away from all of the cars and everything else of interest. Their white outfit looks suspiciously bright given the low lighting.
That was weird. Wait a minute.
Kamadina hasn't a clue as to what this could be, or if one day he will see it again soon, much closer next time. A lady in a car confronts this group after she believed they were making rude comments about her daughter. The group of boys try to argue that she is mistaken and they have done nothing wrong. The woman seems not to believe them, and that's where things get heated.
I'm just trying to look to where you live.
Why?
Why? You live.
You're not coming to my house.
I want to talk to your parents.
You're not coming to my house.
Well, are you gonna cry?
You're not coming to my house.
She parks her car in the road and comes right up to the group. They begin to argue back and forth and nothing gets resolved. The police were eventually called, and that's where the video ends. It remains unclear if the boys had done anything wrong or if the woman was acting like this for no reason. Our next entry reunites us with Dark Ghost, a Russian paranormal investigator who has encountered some truly terrifying entities. However, this latest video quite possibly takes the cake. In what he himself describes as the scariest house he has investigated, an email with coordinates brought Dark Ghost to the location in question. According to the message's text, the girl who sent it claimed an elderly couple once resided there and experienced countless disturbing occurrences, mainly from the home's basement. Among them were unexplained noises, including full conversations and something attempting to open the basement from below. After the couple passed, the home was inherited by their relatives. However, they refused to move in, and the home has been abandoned ever since. Dark Ghost's investigation starts off quiet, and he states he hasn't experienced anything, and it is already reaching 11:30 p.m. He then proceeds to set up stationary cameras, and that is when the activity starts. Not long after he leaves the room, the static cam witnesses a glass move on its own, sliding close to the edge of the shelf it is on. None of the other glasses are disturbed, and it wasn't knocked by anything, as it wouldn't slide in such a manner if it were. It is almost as if something is either pushing or pulling it. It is then tipped off the edge and breaks. Dark Ghost was in the middle of explaining to his camera what he did when he heard the glass break, and that's when things get really crazy. Without warning, the entire house begins to aggressively shake, enough to send bricks collapsing from the ceiling. This lasts only a few seconds before ending just as suddenly. Dark Ghost, well stunned, thankfully is uninjured and moves in to assess the damage. As he is inspecting the kitchen, where the static camera is, he is startled by what sounds like a floorboard being pushed up, followed by several loud bangs from the other room. They sound either like a fist pounding against a wall or floor, or very heavy footsteps, but it is difficult to tell. Inspired by what has happened, Dark Ghost decides to start an EVP session in an attempt to communicate with whatever is there. Кто вы? He starts by asking if anyone from the spirit world is present, and despite receiving no immediate answer, eventually the device comes back with "help us." He continues to press for the entity to identify itself, and soon after it responds with, "We've been trapped." When asked where, it responds, "He trapped us down here." Earlier, when Dark Ghost heard the floorboard move, it has been covered in rubble. It again requests help and asks Dark Ghost to open the basement. However, 30 seconds after this request, something else appears to come through and say, "Don't open it," followed by, "They're lying." Clearly, there are multiple spirits communicating, each with contradicting requests. After several more requests to open the basement, an entity replies with a chilling phrase, "I will deliberately eat your heart." By now, it is clear one of the entities there has malicious intent against Dark Ghost, and while he initially states he will not open the basement, and receiving some talk back as a result, curiously gets the better of him and he decides to lift the floorboard and venture down. At first, he attempts to use an RC car fitted with a camera, but unfortunately the camera battery dies. Despite his better judgment, he ventures down himself. After a few minutes of crawling without incident, he stumbles across a small bone in the dirt. As he takes a closer look, a sudden noise as if something hitting metal can be heard in front of him. At the same moment on his static camera, left a hole to the basement, a shadow figure can be seen against the cupboards in the kitchen. As it vanishes, he emerges and claims to have heard hissing from below. As he is working to get the boards back in place, a very loud hiss sends him rushing out of the hole. This proves to be all he can take, and all for his safety, he returns the board to the floor and decides to leave it for the night. Something in the home clearly wants out, and to cause harm, but one must wonder who the other poor soul trapped with it is, willing to warn others not to fall for the lies the other spirit says. Barry is positive that a spirit is moving around stuff in his house, so he takes a random object, puts it in the middle of the floor. This cat toy is remote controlled, so he puts the controller next to the toy to show that he is not messing with it at all. Nothing happens until almost 4 minutes into the video.
Okay.
Then nothing else happens until another 4 minutes later, when suddenly there's a second burst of movement. When it moves on its own a third time, Barry is confident that he has gathered enough evidence and stops recording. My only explanation is that Barry actually has 2 of these cat toys and was holding a second remote controller in his hands. However, you can just tell by looking at the controller that the big plastic buttons would probably make a loud clicking noise when pressed. Yet I never hear the button being pressed at all. Well, I think there's a good chance that this is real. Maybe Barry could record this again while showing himself in a mirror, just so we can see there is nothing in his hands. What would you think if you saw a wheelchair moving down an eerie, empty, poorly lit hospital corridor at night? You might think you've walked straight into a horror movie. That's probably what security for this hospital thought when they reviewed the security footage after some ghost was up to no good. In the footage, a wheelchair is parked near a wall at the end of the hallway, but slowly it starts to turn and begins to roll backwards around the corner. No one is pushing it and no one is sitting in it. So who or what is maneuvering the chair? And where are they going? Only the spirits lingering in this hospital know. This bizarre video of Space Mountain was recorded by a YouTuber named Jake Tungsten. Jake originally recorded it just to have a memory of the thrilling ride forever, but when he reviewed it later, he saw what in his words was a real ghost. Some sort of phantasm does seem to briefly materialize and hover in the right side of the screen as the roller coaster passes by. Then the same thing happens as the roller coaster climbs upwards. Finally, a transparent figure briefly appears to the right of the track during the descent. I'm not sure if these are real or just some sort of hologram projections created by Disney, but the man who recorded this is absolutely convinced that he has caught a ghost on tape. It could even be the famous Mr. One-Way ghost seen in the previous video. If you have ever seen anything similar on the Space Mountain ride, let me know. Together, maybe we can verify this rumor or finally put it to rest. This worrisome video I'm about to show you was posted on March 18th of 2017 by a person who had been teetering on the edge of self-destruction for years.
Things are much worse this time. Something seems to be after me. I don't know what else to say. Except goodbye.
You'll never guess what he does next, but first let me tell you what he has been through. His psychological torment would begin in early 2015, approximately 2 years before his final goodbye. That was when someone began knocking at his door almost every night for days. He lives all alone and is a very private person, so introverted in fact that we never learn his name. For him to have a visitor is not normal, let alone in the middle of the night. The knocks were annoying at first, but he figured it would stop if he ignored it. But when that didn't work, he decided to start documenting everything early on, in case he needed to take it to the police or something later. He also decided to confront it and defend himself if need be. This incident, taken on February 12, 2015, starts with 2 knocks that are so soft, it would be easy to think you're imagining them. But after 3 weeks of harassment, he is frazzled and hears every noise, so he springs to action ready to meet force with force, but there's just one problem. Nothing is ever there to confront. Listen closely to this part, because I hear chatter after he locks up. He installs a second camera outside the very next night on February 13th, 2015, Friday the 13th to be exact. Sure enough, it starts again. He opens the door and no one's there. It's not 2 different videos put together either, because his movements in both videos sync perfectly, like at 1 minute and 15 seconds when he smooths his hair. Even if he practiced this routine, it still wouldn't be this dead on. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention that this happens at 3 a.m. every night. Anyone would want to move and he absolutely did, but his money situation meant he couldn't either continue to endure this or go homeless in the middle of the winter. Eventually, he decides to go outside before 3 a.m. and see if he can catch whatever or whoever is doing this on video. He doesn't see them, but he does find footprints leading away from his house into the woods. The footprint is separated in 2 halves, more like a hoof print than a foot, yet 2 legs instead of 4. Some people have said this could be a demon or even a cryptid. I don't know about all of that, but I know that he really did go out at 3 a.m. and I know this because I hear a train throughout the video. Oddly enough, this late night train is heard in all of his videos, and I think could be closely related. Something bad must have happened on the nearby tracks. By August 28th, whatever had left those footprints was looking for other ways inside both day and night. No longer was it confined to 3 a.m. Tell me if this is an animal or something way worse. I didn't hear any claws tapping. This was the sound of somebody fast. A raccoon or a possum would be doing this at nighttime. This was something big in the middle of the day, like a restless spirit. So after years of experiencing this and other similar encounters, perhaps you'll better understand why, after saying goodbye in March of 2017, he simply decided to open up the door and stop.
Goodbye.
Whatever that was, it sounded far from being a person. Over 2 years later, this mysterious final video was uploaded on January 1st, 2019. Those sound like church bells. Maybe this is a clip taken from a funeral. Could it be his? And whoever typed these replies doesn't act like him at all. This creepy encounter was posted to Reddit by Ghosty Phase. A Ring doorbell camera captured a young woman's stalker. The woman says she was followed home from Walmart and her stalker showed up on her doorstep. At first, the man appears to be looking for his own keys, but then he fails to find any and peers around the corner of the house. Many are wondering if the creep left something for his victim. Although we can agree that this is beyond creepy and edging into full-on horror, I do think this footage reminds us not to trust anyone. You never know when you could cross paths with someone like this. If you're afraid of heights, you'd better close your eyes for this one. The sky pool at the Market Square Tower in Houston, Texas is leaving nothing to the imagination. At 500 feet above the ground, the pool offers terrifying below-foot views of the busy roadway 500 feet down. The sky pool has a glass bottom, allowing swimmers to see what it feels like to be a flying fish, as the video, uploaded by NYC Yank in Texas in January of this year shows. When you swim out towards the edge of the infinity pool, you're walking on air. 42 floors above street level. One of the developers told the publication Paper City, "We thought it would be an attention grabber, and it has been. Hopefully it doesn't grab swimmers' attention too much. Wouldn't want them swimming over the edge, 42 floors up." A YouTuber named Sonia Said is making a vlog about life in general when she decides to take a rest in the park on a nice Sunday. Big mistake.
I have some guy staring at me in front of me. He's been like holding the tree.
Notice how he lines himself perfectly out of her sight. He could come from behind and she wouldn't be able to see it coming.
What am I doing? You guys are about to see him right now. And I am gonna leave. What a weirdo. There he is. So weird. People are so creepy.
He is definitely facing her way when she decides that she's had enough.
And now we get up and go.
He's still facing her direction long after she goes, arms innocently behind his back like nothing's wrong.
So creepy. People are so creepy.
Now, if this stranger's behavior doesn't make you say bruh, I don't know what will. Rain and Jeno of Sinister RP return to finish a paranormal grudge. One that began at the cemetery, a haunted apartment that they are left with. 3 days ago is when they went exploring here for the first time. The Boyd Cemetery, somewhere in Canada. That's when a ghost decided that if they wanted to explore its home, then it's only fair to explore theirs. Later that night, they are able to make spiritual contact by using a ghost hunting app. The creepy conversation does not go well.
Can you tell me your name? If there is anything following me, you are not allowed to anymore.
The voice of a ghost named Ernest is followed by the sarcastic voice of a little ghost girl who says too bad at the very notion of banishing them. Ernest too sounds sarcastic when he says goodbye.
I said goodbye.
Their replies occur in real time and make sense, so they could have been actual EVPs from the other side. Rain and Jeno are not the type to be intimidated in their own home, and so they bravely return to the cemetery 3 days later for a final showdown, but the ghost voices only mock her as she scorns and warns them.
Please do not follow us home. You are not allowed to follow us home. You are not allowed to attach yourselves to us or anything that we have here. We are going now. Goodbye.
The spirits don't sound very convinced, and as they back out of the Boyd Cemetery in silence, they think they catch a glimpse of a fiendish figure crouching behind a marker, perhaps old Ernest himself. That's not part of the architecture in my opinion. It only looks more supernatural and creepy when you zoom in. Perhaps coming back here has done more harm than good. Sinister RP believes they have caught a real ghost sighting caught on camera. Tell me if you agree with their paranormal evidence, or if you have an alternative explanation. A YouTube channel called Golden Hour travels to a local lake that is just barely frozen over. They walk out a pretty good distance and then start taking turns hitting the ice right next to each other with an axe. It's a crazy game they've just come up with to see whoever will fall through first. The only problem is that they aren't exactly sure how deep this part of the lake is and the temperature is freezing. They soon decide to end this game early before anyone gets hurt. But then they come up with another equally crazy variation. This time they stand on the ice and try to sink themselves instead of each other. Thankfully, the spot they are standing in is only knee deep, but I just wanted to stress that they could have easily been standing on a sharp embankment and could have gone completely under. If that would have happened, they wouldn't have had very long to get out before it's too late. Mysterious things have been happening for years at the haunted Brookside Theatre in Romford, UK. Management has long reported sightings of ghost orbs and furniture moving by itself across the floor with no one in the room. Footage of one such strange and unexplained event was captured on a quiet Sunday morning in 2014. Management came in to find the chairs were no longer in the same place as they had been the night before. They checked CCTV tapes already knowing the answer, but for some reason, even after all these years, there's no getting used to paranormal activity, and so they check every time. A paranormal presence is shown on camera moving the chair and then the table. Half the table is off the camera, so that would be easy to move by yourself and say it was a ghost, but a chair moving by itself would be harder to fake, though it could be a string. I'll keep digging for more paranormal videos from the Brookside Theatre so we can help solve the mystery and figure out if the building is really haunted. In the meantime, let me know what you think of these creepy moments caught on camera. Kazakhstan is a country with 3 mountain regions said to hold many strange secrets. One such secret can be found by satellite on Google Earth, and it's creepy beyond belief. The lines connect to form a pentagram within a circle. No one knows why someone put such a symbol out in the middle of nowhere. It's either a hoax or an actual summoning circle right by a large body of water, which, if you believe in rituals, could be a necessary element for whatever is being cast. So let me know if you think this weird symbol was made for evil purposes or just for attention. Something tells me this was never meant to be discovered. Thank you so much for getting me to 50,000 subscribers here on my Clips channel. If you want to support, please press that subscribe button. Let's get to 60,000 subscribers next. Thank you.